I'll never forget the day when my sister looked at my father as he was walking her down the aisle and asked, "Dad, did you just piss your pants?" My father struggled to mumble a couple of words before collapsing into what seemed like a bath of his own urine. "Dad, wake up!" I yelled in horror while my brother-in-law, the priest, and our entire family stared at him in shock. My dear old father is my hero. Once the pillar of our family, one of our great nation's most honest and hard-working cops, an hour later, tied to a hospital bed wrapped in adult diapers, while a young nurse was trying to insert a 16-inch catheter down his pee hole so they could soak those last few drops out of his bladder. I paced rapidly through the hospital hallways, waiting for the doctor to give us his verdict, and thinking how different things could have been. And it made me mad. Mad at myself for not noticing anything sooner. Mad at his doctor for not doing anything when his harmless prostate problem seemed under control. All the while being more than happy to keep prescribing overly expensive drugs that utterly fail to do the job they were designed for. Drugs that, instead of keeping his prostate in order, allowed it to triple its size. 3 different doctors told him not to worry, that everything would be fine as long as he continued taking their cutting-edge medicine. But as painful as it is, I'm sharing this story with you for a reason. Recent research has shown that men over 40 are now at higher risk to develop prostate issues more than ever before in the last 50 years. So I'm afraid at this point it's not a question of if, but a question of when. In the next 5.5 minutes, I'm going to show you the top 3 prostate treatment drugs that Big Pharma is shoving down your throat, even though there's undeniable, clear evidence of deadly side effects. Warning, 9 out of 10 doctors blatantly recommend them. The CDC warning to all men about untreated prostate complications. The one early inflamed prostate warning sign that you'll most likely feel in the morning, which you should absolutely not ignore if you are a man over 40. Plus, the incredible scientific accident that led to the biggest prostate relief discovery of the century. The same discovery that made me Big Pharma's public enemy number 1, despite the fact that it has already saved over 27,600 men from all corners of the earth, giving them back their dignity and sense of pride. In fact, this is the 4th time I'm posting this video online. Yet, the billionaire pharma execs that sit behind their fancy desks and promise to make the world a better place always find a way to suppress this crucial information from honest men like you. Take a look at what some of the lucky ones say after trying this method. Matt Thompson from Davenport, Iowa.
I was desperate, constantly on the lookout for the nearest bathroom. We used to plan all our holidays this way. When it first started, I thought it was just a simple infection. It would go away quickly, but after a couple of weeks, it made my life a living hell. The bathroom became both my friend and my fiercest enemy. Trying to squeeze out those last drops of pee, I had actually forgotten how it felt to have an empty bladder. I used to go to the bathroom as many as 15 times every night, something that did not make my wife very happy. Thanks to your method, I now pee like a racehorse. My wife is the happiest woman alive when I'm in the bedroom with her, and my sleep is better than ever before.
Thank you, Matt. I highly appreciate your kind thoughts. It is people like you that drive us forward no matter what Big Pharma throws at us. Hi, my name is Keith Johnson, and it's safe to say that today I am on Big Pharma's hit list. If you're a man over 40 and are concerned about your prostate, then you should know this. The prostate treatment market value is around $9.8 billion, a number that is expected to dramatically increase over the next 5 years. One thing is for sure, Big Pharma loves your money, and they know very well that pain and misery gets them way more money than your health and well-being. Doctors all around the world are prescribing drugs like giving out lottery tickets. Drugs that cost even up to $5,000 every month, if not more. So, besides losing your dignity, emasculation, sleepless nights, physical pain, and life-threatening problems, this apparently ordinary urinary problem can also get you on the brink of bankruptcy. And I should know better than anyone, because 18 months ago, my father found himself in the exact same situation. Officer Johnson, as the kids in the neighborhood used to call him, my dad, once the hero of our community, a man who brought dangerous criminals in front of justice. My father, who would make any woman tremble in her pants just by smiling at her. A hero who proudly raised 2 kids by himself after unexpectedly losing his wife. Yet he sacrificed everything so that my sister and I could be who we are today. Now, a shadow of a man trapped on the hospital bed with a nurse coming in every few hours to help him eliminate those last few drops of pee. It was heartbreaking to see him like that. This is why I don't want any man out there to go through what he did. The doctors kept asking us what he was taking and for how long, because his kidneys were barely functioning and toxins were spilling into his blood. From time to time, he would wake up and then just pass out. We didn't have any idea what was going on with him. My father was a very private guy. His job taught him that. And I think if it weren't for Maria, the woman who looked after him in the last years, he would have taken his secret to his grave. As my father was taken to the hospital, the doctors warned us that they couldn't do anything to treat him until we found out if he was already on prostate inhibitors. I rushed home and I began to search desperately throughout the house. The bathroom cabinets, the kitchen, his bedroom, the living room, even the garage held nothing out of the ordinary. Then it hit me. His car. It was the only place we weren't allowed to enter lately, and every time he would drop by the house, he would insist that we would say goodbye at the door. I always thought it was some sort of inside joke among cops that we didn't get. I rushed back to get his car keys from the hospital and then to the wedding chapel where he had left his car to see if it was holding anything that might help us. But as soon as I entered the car, I understood. It looked like my father had already come prepared for the wedding, as 2 pairs of underwear were carefully packed inside the car's glove compartment. Handwritten wedding emergency kit on both of them. The more I looked inside the car, the more a powerful smell of urine I felt, but couldn't figure out where it was coming from. But as soon as I opened the trunk, it was like the smell of death inside. In one plastic bag, there were 3 more pairs of underwear, which I assumed it was his regular day-to-day emergency backup. Another recycle bin bag held 1 underwear which looked freshly soiled that probably he didn't have the chance to throw out. And at the bottom of the bag, 2 empty boxes of Avodart and Proscar. The worst mistake he ever made. You see, in those moments of shame, frustration, and humiliation, as you're trying to excuse yourself for the 4th time from the dinner table with your family, and hear people comment on your back as you leave asking and wondering what's wrong with you. Or worse, throw you pity looks if they know about your dirty secret. In those exact moments, you'll do or pay anything to make it go away. And that's when one of Big Pharma's doctors is waiting for you with an expensive prescription, because this is what makes them the most money. As for myself, I rushed over to the hospital and brought the medicine I found to the doctor. But after he looked at it, he said he doesn't know what else to do. I suggest you say your prayers because it's not looking good. he added as he left the room. Since my mom passed away, my father was the alone type of guy. So the only person that could help get to the bottom of this was Maria, his maid. She spent a lot of time with him over the past years. And friend, what she had to say when I called her struck me to my very core. My dear dad's symptoms were something which he tried to keep hidden from all of us, even though his life was a nightmare from hell. One Monday morning, Maria found my father down to his knees on the edge of his bed, filled with shame and disgust, trying to soak his own urine from the bedsheets. He had peed himself during the night, and he didn't even notice. Things happened like this for a while, and my father made her swear she'll keep this a secret, as he was too embarrassed to tell anyone. Eventually, he decided to go see a doctor, and crazy enough, that's where all his problems began. After spending a fortune on the treatment, my father was basically a eunuch. He was constantly complaining that his rocks were inflamed and in so much pain that he could barely sit down. Maria remembers. She broke down crying as she heard my father say he'll never be a man enough for a woman again. He was constantly angry, furious because he couldn't sleep more than 3 hours straight every night, trying to rush to the toilet and force himself to squeeze out those last drops of pee so that he could go back to sleep. He tried to keep this hidden as much as possible, even when he would call me. He always seemed like he was in a good mood, hiding inside his tough cop shell. But in fact, his life was filled with misery and humiliation. As I looked at him lying unconscious in that hospital bed, I decided I couldn't let something as important as this ruin the life of my hero. I couldn't leave my father's problem in the hands of an industry that's filled with greed and corruption. So I began researching day and night, like a maniac. And every time I would think of my father and the pain and humiliation he's going through, I just couldn't accept his fate. Absolutely not. I started looking over the medicine he was taking, Avodart and Proscar. And now, what I found sent shivers down my spine. You see, these two are called 5-alpha reductase inhibitors, or 5-ARIs. And they are widely prescribed by doctors because they supposedly help shrink the enlarged prostate. But what millions of innocent men don't know is how deadly this whole thing is. In February of 2020, a class action lawsuit was filed against the manufacturer of Avodart, which claims that using this drug actually increases the risk of deadly prostate disease. The drug manufacturers already attempted to settle this outside of court and sweep everything under the rug. Don't they always? In order to avoid public shaming and potential criminal charges. Yet, they're pushing these pills like they're selling candies to babies. Because they know, either way, they are profitable. If you get sicker, you'll need more meds, which is to their benefit. If the drug causes you side effects, which they almost always do, yet again, you need more meds. Picture Big Pharma like an endless money-making machine that will not stop, no matter if you're dead or alive. But something just didn't make sense. Why do so many men get an enlarged prostate in their late 40s and early 50s? Why now? Well, one extensive study from the University of Washington shows that enlarged prostate or benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, is the result of high levels of something called DHT, also known as dihydrotestosterone. Now, your body produces DHT as a byproduct of testosterone. DHT is also the reason for so many men losing their hair. Now pay attention. because what follows is extremely important. Because what I'm about to share today will not only help you save your prostate, but will put an end to all those things that doctors say come frequent with age. Bladder issues, impotence, balding. As common as these things are, they are not normal at all, as you'll soon see. So if you ever gave up on the thought of ever fixing this, then I'm afraid you've done the worst thing possible. Instead, you listen carefully and join the 27,600 men from all over the U.S. who decided they no longer wanted to be trapped inside Big Pharma's Russian roulette game and took their life into their own hands. I'm sure that the thought of wasting your best years on the toilet, forcing yourself to squeeze those pathetic drops of pee out, is not how you imagined your retirement. That's exactly what Alan Foster has been through. He writes, "When I first saw this, I said, no way. Every fiber of my being wanted to close this video and leave, but I'm extremely glad that I didn't, as it would have been the worst thing ever. I listened to your father's story, Keith, and all I can say is that I feel you. A little while ago, I was in his shoes, and it was as humiliating as it was painful. I can't even remember how many times I had to make a pathetic excuse just so I could leave in the middle of a conversation or family dinner, just to go to the bathroom. Oh, the bathroom. My fiercest enemy and worst nightmare. And the doctors? I've seen so many doctors and done every single test a man can do. It takes away your dignity, your sense of pride. I tried and tested every single method the top medical experts recommended, but it was all to no avail until I arrived at your website. This not only saved me from a life of pain and shame, but also from bankruptcy, given how expensive those meds really are. Thank you 1,000,000 times." Well, thank you as well, Alan. We need more people like you to win the battle against those greedy pharmaceutical companies that have ruined so many lives. Meanwhile, at the hospital, my father's condition would get worse by the day, leaving doctors more clueless, if that's even possible, as to what their options were. His prostate had swollen so bad it put pressure on his kidneys. Best case would be that he would have been tied to a dialysis machine 3 times for all his life, and worse case, risking total kidney failure, coma, and even death. Fortunately, unlike my father who was running out of time, you won't have to suffer going through the same thing. You can just follow a simple and natural method that takes less than a minute a day to fix your prostate and get your life back. It was that moment when I decided to take things into my own hands. I wanted to know what causes BPH in the first place. What I found is the answer may be simple enough. The root cause, however, goes deeper than expected. Your inflamed prostate and your prostate issues are all due to your DHT levels. Now, like I said, DHT is a very potent hormone that is being converted from testosterone. Think of it like this. If DHT is found in high levels, it binds to your androgen receptors inside the prostate. These androgen receptors basically regulate hormones like DHT and make sure your prostate functions properly. But when too many of these receptors are triggered by DHT, your body's natural response is to cause an inflammatory response. And this results in all those endless trips to the bathroom, the feeling of never having an empty bladder, and having difficulty starting and maintaining a flow. Now, knowing this, the logical solution would be to stop these androgen receptors from inflaming your prostate. Well, not quite. You see, what these androgen receptors trigger is a defense inflammation mechanism. One study made by Belgian scientists on 284 patients with BPH has shown that 81% of them had inflammatory markers inside their prostate cells. Another study showed that men with BPH are more likely to develop urinary tract infections, blood in their urine, bladder stones, bladder wall damage, incontinence, erectile dysfunction, and even kidney failure, all due to the pressure that the inflamed prostate puts on your bladder. With every article and research paper I would read, things would finally start to make sense. Now, as I said earlier, inflammation in your prostate glands is just a defense mechanism. When inflammation happens, chemicals from your body's white blood cells enter your bloodstream to protect your body from invaders. But sometimes inflammation happens by accident. Since DHT is an extremely potent and aggressive form of testosterone, too much of it makes your body have an unnatural response by inflaming your prostate cells. This causes you the sudden urge to pee and the painful sensation all the time that your bladder is not really empty, even when your bladder is in fact totally empty. And this results in you waking up 9 times a night and spending your time between your bathroom and bedroom just to try and squeeze those last pathetic drops. Now that I understood why prostate enlarges in the first place, I had to figure out how to stop this. It made sense that if I would find a way to stop the inflammation, my father would finally be relieved from all these debilitating symptoms and the excruciating pain. So I called a friend of mine, Sam, one of those genius people that you read about in magazines, and I'm proud to say this is my best friend. I first met Sam when I was in college. He was deeply passionate about finding alternative remedies for sickness in nature. He believed the secret to all diseases is already provided by Mother Earth. You just have to look for it. He was also very much against pharma companies. He always said they're hiding the real solutions just because their drugs are making them insane profits. Well, Sam, I believe we all know that. Sam was now an independent researcher working at his own lab, studying the effects of plants on the body, especially focused on chronic disease. He was an extremely interesting person and talented guy. I was deeply curious to find out what he had to say about my findings. And let me tell you, it was game-changing. I told him everything that happened to my father, and I didn't even get to finish my story. I could see Sam's eyes filled with tears. Mine too. I showed him my findings, all the research, and confessed that I was stuck and needed help. How can I stop this inflammation that's killing my father? I asked Sam with a heavy sigh. Sam paused for a minute, and it all went quiet. I confess that at that moment, I thought he would just shrug his shoulders, just like all the other doctors. But not Sam. Sam said I was right on the spot with my findings, and after carefully looking at my research for the second time, he suggested an herbal blend that could fix my father's problem. My eyes filled with tears again. It was for the first time in weeks when there was finally hope for my father. I sold my car and took a second mortgage on my house to have the money I needed to get the ingredients and mix them properly in the first batch of supplements that could save my father. It was that moment when I decided to take him out of that death trap of a hospital and treat him myself. I know it sounds crazy, but I just couldn't bet his life on some big pharma's lapdog's hands. Exhausted and humiliated, my father started religiously following the plan and taking the blend every single day. And after a few days, I must say I was worried that it might not work. Maria, his maid, was already working as a part-time nurse, so she knew how to insert a catheter for my father to empty his bladder just in case. But a few days later, something miraculously happened. My father confessed his bladder no longer felt pressured and in pain. In fact, soon after, he started going to the bathroom just once before sleep and once after a restful and continuous night of sleep. We both cried the day he told me he had finally managed to sleep all through the night. I could see his mood dramatically change for the better. And even though the stress and that rabbit food from the hellhole of a hospital had made him weak and lose a lot of weight, he soon started working out again. When Maria, his maid, came to his house, he even winked at her to let her know things were good now. That's right, he's a man again now. She blushed so hard she almost broke a glass. My father, the man who would make any woman weak in the knees just by looking at her, was back. Now let me tell you why this is the most incredible prostate relief formula ever invented. Why the nutrients it contains are so incredibly powerful. They not only help you eliminate the inflammation on your prostate, but also keep it healthy for years to come. Over a dozen independent labs across 2 continents have tested this program on 5,300 men from 8 countries to make sure this program works for everyone, no matter their age, gender, or overall health. Lab tests have shown us that in order for this program to be efficient, all the ingredients have to be mixed in very exact quantities, following an exact formula. Here's a short, to-the-point explanation on how this works. Step 1. The powerful nutrients are being absorbed by the body. This is a key step for your prostate relief. To achieve a proper and extremely effective level of absorption, we only source the purest ingredients from top selected locations. This means each and every single ingredient is 100% natural and is very easy to be absorbed by your body immediately. This was very important since the whole formula contains 32 special extracts from plants, herbs, and minerals. This alone eliminates any risk from the start of urinary tract infections, bladder, stones, and even kidney issues. And since your body has been lacking these essential nutrients for decades, once they enter your system, they will be immediately assimilated. In almost no time, your entire body will be flooded with these incredible disease fighters and natural healers that will start fixing your prostate right away. Step 2. DHT is flushed out of your system. These essential nutrients work to obliterate decades of DHT buildup in your system. And, oh boy, they do it like nothing else. We tested more than 245 combinations with an average of over 35 different quantities for each until we found these 3 superstar anti-DHT buildup ingredients. Annona muricata, also known as the DHT killer, has been found in a recent study to have a massive effect on DHT and stop BPH from developing. Saw palmetto, an incredible DHT blocker according to another study, that also protects your bladder against infections and is able to stop hair loss. And the third superstar ingredient, stinging nettle, which has been found in yet another study to have DHT blocking capabilities and fight against BPH. Your DHT will be basically flushed out with each trip you take to the bathroom. It feels good to regain your manliness and sense of pride. Step 3. The prostate and body rejuvenation process begins. This is what you've been waiting for all this time. And that's because at this step, 3 wonderful things happen. First, your prostate is no longer inflamed and everything goes back to normal. Your urine stream becomes constant and steady, mainly due to broccoli extracts and nutrients found inside the natural green tea plant, which has been found in recent research to promote bladder health. This means no more endless trips to the bathroom, no more pain and embarrassment. These miraculous plants will ensure that you pee like a horse and empty your bladder every time. Second, your blood rejuvenates and is cleansed from toxic bacteria. During this step, the 3 magical Japanese mushrooms, maitake, reishi, and shiitake, along with red raspberry, will destroy the billions of toxic bacteria that have been flooding your blood for decades. This will purify and oxygenate your blood so that when it reaches your reproductive system, it's 100% clean and ready for the next important phase. And third, your manhood becomes stronger, healthier, and maybe even a slight increase on top of all this, mainly due to these 2 African plants, Annona muricata and Pygium africanum. The way they work is they treat, heal, and repair your sex cells while making your manhood 300% stronger, firmer, expands the penile tissue, and turbo boosts your sex drive. Step 4, you shield yourself against prostate disease. For this, we added our final and most important touch: zinc, selenium, and copper. A recent study shows that zinc and copper are absolutely essential for men over 50 and will significantly lower risk of prostate disease if taken in your early 40s and reduce the chances of BPH to turn into a deadly disease. The problem with zinc and copper supplements on the market is that they're either extremely diluted and low quality, or they don't have the necessary amount of both of these amazing minerals that will actually help your prostate. Another study published in the Harvard Medical School shows that men who receive selenium over a period of 25 months have a 49% lower risk of a deadly prostate disease through a follow-up period that averaged 7.6 years. I'll admit, Sam warned me not to share this with the public, especially since we've all heard stories about big pharma forcibly pushing their will and destroying honest people's lives. But truth be told, I'm almost religious when it comes to my constitutional rights. And I'm saying this because I never want any man to go through what my father has been through. I don't want another father, husband, son to feel the misery and shame I felt as I watched my father collapsing in his own urine at my sister's wedding. Can you imagine how that feels? It takes away your dignity, your pride, and everything that ever made you a man. How could I live with myself knowing that right now there are millions of men whose lives are ruined because of this debilitating disease? I swore I'd do anything I can to help as many as possible. So Sam and I put everything we had in this prostate-saving remedy. We called it ProstaMend, a one-of-a-kind BPH annihilation formula that gives you back your life and repairs your prostate so you can stay healthy for many, many years to come. By now, you're probably wondering how you can get your hands on ProstaMend and how long you should take it to get the best results. Truth be told, it's very hard for me to answer the first question. Given the current conditions and economic climate, it's extremely difficult to source all these high-quality ingredients in this exact prostate-restoring mix. This makes our ability to keep high stocks on hand almost impossible. And then there's all the people who've used ProstaMend and now enjoy a BPH-free life and a healthy prostate. They are all coming back for more. For themselves, for their families, and for their best friends. They want to make sure we don't run out of ProstaMend, leaving them out. This makes our stock run out in days every time a new shipment arrives. Plus, we're only able to produce ProstaMend in small quantities since finding the high quality ingredients is extremely hard. This is the only way to make sure we keep the formula 100% effective. And since you're here, your package is reserved. But if you leave this page, I cannot guarantee supply when you come back. Now, you should also know that ProstaMend is extremely easy to use. All it takes is 10 seconds per day of your time and a big glass of water to take 2 capsules each day for at least 30 days. Now, a lot of people ask us this, and it's important for you to know. Having a constant need to pee and having trouble sleeping at night are the least of your problems if this thing worsens. And really, you can't let this happen. Even after ProstaMend has eliminated the inflammation on your prostate level, helped you get a good night's sleep, and stopped that feeling of never having an empty bladder, you still have to protect your body against DHT buildup. That's why, based on over 8,000 volunteers that have sent us their lab and test results, we recommend that you take at least 3 bottles of ProstaMend. Although, to be 100% safe, I personally recommend the 6-bottle package. Millions of men from all corners of America and all over the globe have fallen victim to weaker ejaculation, sleepless nights, insidious anxiety, stress, unhappy wives, constantly fighting to find the nearest bathroom, a living nightmare. Some of the lucky ones, even those whose conditions were from moderate to severe, already discovered this website and got their life and manliness back. Here are some of their stories. People like Brandon M. from Tampa, Florida, who left me a voicemail and said,
"When it started, I felt like I wasn't a man anymore. I was taking 15 to 20 trips to the bathroom every day, something which didn't make my wife very happy. I barely turned 50 and my intimate life was gone. Plus, when I read all the bad things an enlarged prostate could do, let me tell you, it scared the heck out of me. Thank God for ProstaMend. It saved my life. I barely started taking this formula and it looks like things are finally getting back to normal. I can sleep better and my wife is happy again. Finally. Thank you so much, Keith."
Or Matthew D., 55-year-old from Riverside, California.
My life was a burning hell down there. I literally organized everything around the way I used to be. I gave up a lot of foods, coffee. I tried eating more fruits and vegetables. Not to mention I didn't let myself drink the tiniest bit of alcohol at my son's wedding. But everything was as useless as that last drop of pee I tried to squeeze out with every trip to the bathroom. Then, I arrived at your website and found this formula. I'm a little over a month into this program and it's like I never had any prostate problems. Absolutely amazing. Thank you. Deeply.
These real-life stories are just a small part of the massive emails and texts and calls we receive every day. And they all prove one thing, that ProstaMend works, and it works for everyone. And by the way, it's important for you to know that ProstaMend is only found on this website for as long as the supply lasts. And the reason I'm telling you this is because just recently, I received an invitation letter from one of the top big pharma companies to visit one of their fancy offices where they handed me a big check demanding that I sell them this formula. When I blatantly refused, they furiously said they'll have no other choice but issue a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against my small company. Now don't kid yourself. These things are happening all across America, and it's a fact. And I'm fighting as hard as I can to keep this website live so that men like you and 1,000 others can have the chance to regain their life and freedom back. That's why I really don't want you to wait until it's too late. Especially since ProstaMend is your only real chance to relieve the inflammatory effects of your DHT buildup and keep your prostate healthy for many, many years to come. Plus, you won't have to take those expensive side effects, filled drugs, anymore that only provide temporary relief and don't really get to the root cause of your issue. Just imagine how good it will be when you finally get that good night's sleep without having to go to the bathroom 8 times a night or worse. Imagine that feeling of power and confidence when your spouse looks at you like a real man. Imagine getting your life back. And all it takes is just 2 powerful healing capsules of ProstaMend per day to liberate yourself from the crippling symptoms of enlarged prostate for many years to come. Now tell me, how much would this be worth to you? Would it be worth $197? Because that's how much it would cost to get each ingredient from this formula. So when you choose ProstaMend, it already saves you a small fortune. Not to mention that you don't fill your stomach and body with those synthetic formulas full of side effects that are only meant to get you temporary relief. Plus, you get to avoid surgery, which, to be honest, is the most important benefit of all, since it can literally leave your organs disfigured and make you have to shove a tube up your pee hole every time you want to pee for the rest of your life. Or worse, it can turn you into a eunuch. Sure, you could stop eating all sorts of foods, and chances are you tried some of the eating and drinking techniques you found online or considered spending thousands on organic foods and whatnot. But as with many men out there, including myself, you realize that nothing really works for the long term. In fact, for some unexplainable reason, the disease typically comes back with a vengeance a few short months later. Not to mention that none of these foods can actually stop the DHT buildup. Now, knowing all this, $197 seems like a fair price for something that can make you a proud man again, that can give you back your dignity, and to be honest, your sanity. It's not even close to how much you'd spend on those endless visits to your doctor, just to fill you up with more expensive meds. And it's definitely less than what you'd pay for overpriced organic food. Yet, ProstaMend, unlike any other product in the world, fully supports your fight against inflammation by treating the root cause of it. Then there's the other thing. Given the difficult conditions we live in these days, it's very hard for us to know when our next shipment will arrive once we run out of stock. You see, we only work with FDA-approved and GMP, good manufacturing practices, certified producers, which makes our mission to find high-quality ingredients practically impossible. Each ingredient was carefully tested and clinically proven to 100% protect and heal your prostate. But then again, this isn't about the money for me. It truly isn't. I never want anyone to go through the things my father has been through. The shame he felt as his own daughter saw that stain of urine running down his pants leg. The disgusting meds he ingested every day just to try and live like a normal man. The humiliation he felt as the nurse slowly put that catheter in his pee hole while the entire family stood outside the hospital room watching and praying. I never want any man to feel that. That's why today, on this website only, you can get your healthy prostate back and regain your life back for just $69 per bottle and not a penny more. Of course, I want to help you in any way possible. After all the horribly painful moments my father suffered through, it made me realize that no one is ever safe from this. No matter your genes, how healthy you think you are now, or your lifestyle, every man can fall victim to this atrocious disease. So in all fairness, you have every right to be worried for yourself, your brother, your father, uncle, son, and friend. Your best chance is to grab this as fast as possible, because your other option is to let yourself fall victim to Big Pharma again and again. And I really don't want that for you. That's why I managed to talk to our supplier, and even in these harsh conditions, they managed to give us a special price for the 6-bottle package. You can get the 6-bottle package for just $49 per bottle when you place your order today and only via this website. That's just $1.63 per day, less than a coffee to get your life back. But just a fair warning, as I'm not sure how long I can keep the special discount and the free shipping. Due to the incredible situation we live in these days, it takes more than 3 months to restock once we run out of ProstaMend. So make your choice as fast as possible and select the recommended 6-bottle package or one of the other packages and hit the buy button below. This is truly a life-saving moment for you. Sounds fair? Here's how you get started right away. Click the recommended 6-bottle package or one of the other packages and hit the button below now. You'll see an encrypted checkout page for you to fill your order info, which will take less than a minute. Then, in 3 to 7 days, the package will safely and discreetly arrive at your door in a sealed package. Nobody but you will know what it contains. So go ahead and order ProstaMend now while we have it in stock. It's absolutely safe since you're 100% protected by our ironclad 60-day money-back guarantee. In less than a few weeks from now, you'll be in full control of when and how much you pee, and your prostate will get back to normal again. No more living your life by the clock. No more sleepless nights. You'll finally be able to relax and live your life confidently like a normal guy who can take care of his woman as it was always supposed to be. Tens of thousands of BPH sufferers have already experienced this amazing feeling, and I personally can relate to each one of them. Plus, if for any reason you're less happy with the results, just email or call our US-based customer service team, and they'll immediately help you with your order. With 0 questions asked, 0 hassle, and 100% love and appreciation from us that you put your trust into this powerful remedy. Now, if all this sounds good to you, then look below and select the 6-bottle package, which is the one we recommend, or one of the other packages. The sad reality is that most people wait until it's too late. And that being said, we're coming to an end here, and you have to make your decision here. Sure, you can go on with your life and forget you arrived here. But let me ask you something. In a year from now, when you look at your life, what will be different? What terrible things will happen in 6 months, or 3 months, or even next week if you don't do anything to fix this? Sleepless nights, always being tired at work, home, with family, on guard everywhere you are, always having that feeling that something just isn't right with you. And what about your kids? Or maybe grandkids? What will they say about you? What do you think your wife says every time you wake up in the middle of the night, desperately trying to squeeze out that last drop, leaving her alone, neglecting her needs as a woman? What do you think all this does to your self-esteem? Well, actually, even if you ignore all this, how about all that stress, anxiety, lack of sleep, and unbearable hell the bathroom has become? When you look at all those men, even those not in the prime of their lives, enjoying every moment at its fullest, you have to wonder, why you? Now, I'm not trying to scare you or anything. I'm just talking a hard truth here. Because not long ago, I was in your shoes. And I'm afraid bad things don't just fade away if you don't do anything about it. Right now, you can do something about it, because for a short time, and I really don't know for how much longer, you can get ProstaMend and get your life back. I'll leave the decision in your hands. And if you ask me, it's as simple as 2 + 2, since you're protected by my personal 60-day money-back guarantee. So go ahead and select the recommended package, then hit the button below and be the man your family needs you to be. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and God bless you. How does ProstaMend work again? As scientists have found, the real root cause of BPH, or benign prostatic hyperplasia, is an inflammation of the prostate cells caused by high levels of DHT, an aggressive hormone that is derived from testosterone. The way to fix this is to stop the inflammation by adding certain nutrients to your bloodstream that travel to your reproductive system and block DHT from inflaming your prostate. ProstaMend contains a unique combination of plants, herbs, and minerals that only in this exact formula stops the inflammation and relieves your prostate of all those painful and dangerous symptoms. This sounds great. How many bottles should I order? Now, a lot of people ask us this, and it's important for you to know. It all depends on inflammation on your prostate and the severity of your BPH. However, that's not the only factor that you should consider when taking ProstaMend. In fact, having a constant need to pee and having trouble sleeping at night are the least of your problems if this thing worsens. And really, you can't let this happen. Even after ProstaMend has eliminated the inflammation on your prostate level, helped you get a good night's sleep, and stop that feeling of never having an empty bladder, you still have to protect your body against DHT buildup. And that's why, based on over 8,000 volunteers that have sent us their lab and test results, we recommend that you take at least 3 bottles of ProstaMend. Although to be 100% safe, I personally recommend the 6-bottle package. Who is ProstaMend for? ProstaMend is for anyone who suffers from BPH or enlarged prostate. Can you tell me again about that guarantee? Sure. It works like this. You try ProstaMend for 60 days. Watch as your life goes back to normal. Feel the happiness growing inside you as you no longer have prostate issues. Feel the peace and relief in your life every day and night. And after 2 months, if for the simplest reason you're less happy with the product, just email me and I'll send back every last penny you invested into this. I'm that confident it will work for you. Just as it did for over 109,000 men from America, Australia, Europe, and every other continent in the world. How long will ProstaMend be available for? I wish I had an answer to this. You see, the multi-billion-dollar pharma cohorts are not really happy what this natural remedy does to their bottom line. I've seen firsthand how they'll go to the end of the earth, if possible, just to prevent you from entering this website. In fact, ever since our initial incredibly successful launch, they've been blocking our access to top mainstream media websites. I mean, if you put yourself in their shoes, you can see this. An honest, humble company launches tens of thousands, applaud the staggering results, and stop buying your side effect-filled drugs. You can feel that comfy $2,000 executive chair shaking. So what do? You hire a bunch of greedy lawyers and spend a couple of millions, pennies to you, to bury that small company to the ground. Then you can continue living your life in riches while the innocent are left to perish. But like I said, the choice is yours. Next week, when you come back, and instead of this video, you get a blank page, I really don't want to tell you, I told you so. And I hope I won't have to. You should know that ProstaMend is not available on any other page or website. It's only found right here, right now on this site. So go ahead and make the best choice for you and your health. Okay, how can I get ProstaMend? Simply select one of the packages below and hit the buy button. Then try the program for 2 full months, and if for any reason you're unhappy with the results, send me an email and I'll send your money back. I'm very confident that you won't be asking for a refund because this has already been proven to work for tens of thousands of people of all ages and conditions. So go ahead. Make your choice. Hit the button below and be another success story that ProstaMend brings to the world.